Peace and blessings, y'all. Welcome to Friday Night Exposure with the Exposer. We are here on the GOAT James Kingdom channel, going live on a Friday night for y'all. Shout out to everybody that's checking us out. We're also going to be live running on our Facebook. But thank you for joining me. As y'all know, I'm coming live every Friday night to give y'all a chance to talk to me personally about whatever y'all want to talk about as far as the GOAT conversation. Tonight's topic, though, we're going to discuss GOAT James Kingdom being featured in the ESQUIRE Men's Health magazine regarding the GOAT conversation. So we're going to definitely have a great conversation. I put the link up in the chat room so you guys can go right on ahead and join the show if you want to be participant. I see my boy Crash is here. What's good? Shout out to Crash, man. What's good, brother? It's always good to see you. All right. We got my boy NBA Talk. Thank you. All right. What's good, y'all? Okay, we got Chris, GOAT James representing. I appreciate you guys. Make sure y'all hit the like button. I saw some of y'all on SB's Live. I actually just got off of SB's Live. He's running live right now, also on YouTube. But thanks for joining me and being a part of what we got going on here in GOAT James Kingdom. As y'all know, this Sunday, we are going to go live again, noon Eastern Standard Time. We are going to bring you guys the top 50 greatest players to ever play the game. By using a criteria that Brandon and I have come up with, and it's based off of the stats and accolades. We're not going to use our eye tests. We're not going to use none of that nonsense. And if we are going to use our eyes, we're going to use what the stats tell us. You see what I'm saying? Because we all basketball fans, so we all know what we're seeing when we're watching basketball. Shout out to Anthony. What's good? Anthony, a member of the GOAT James Kingdom. Appreciate you, brother. You guys make sure to check out the memberships. We out here doing big things, man. We're going to represent LeBron James to the fullest. As this article that we have here will show, I don't know if you guys got a chance. Let me know if you guys got a chance to read the article. Shout out to Philip. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you guys got a chance to read the article. I can actually put the link to the article up for you as well here so that you guys can see it. It was a great job by the guy. Basically, how it all came about was a few months ago, about a couple of months ago. Brandon and I got reached out by a gentleman who was interested in actually, interviewing us about the GOAT conversation. And he was a real journalist. And we was like, you know what? Let's do it, And so we sat down and he asked us a few questions about what we were doing with GOAT James Kingdom. And it was a good interview. I thought it was good. I didn't know if he was going to actually use us in the piece or not, but I figured, it was a shot. So we definitely got a chance to get on it. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it here. My boy Crash. Let me bring up my boy Crash. What's good, Crash?
Yo, what's up, hey Johnny?
That's my brother.
Everybody at GJK, man.
What's good, man?
How's everything, man?
Can't complain, bro. I can't complain, man. Have you got a chance to read the article?
I actually seen that. I saved it on my posting or whatever on my account, so I could read it. I skimmed through like the first paragraph, but then I got tied up in shit. But yeah, I seen that he mentioned and was talking about how y'all be debating people or whatnot. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely read the rest of it when I get a chance later. Yeah, I definitely got the link for that.
Yeah, that's the article there. I let me try to see if I can put the link back up for you guys to see it on the chat itself. So but yeah, man, it's a short article. It's not a long read. So if you're somebody who can take a little quick minute to read something, it ain't gonna take too long to read it. But he was basically, he really captured the essence of the GOAT conversation. He really did, really touch on all the things that basically we go through as fans, bro. It's crazy, bro. It's a serious conversation, and it's a men's health magazine. So he wanted to know what kind of mental health, you know what I'm saying, go along with arguing with men all day long. Because he says that it's a real conversation. As you can see, we got people ready to fly us out. You know what I'm saying, to fight us or to even play us in basketball. You know what I'm saying? We got guys, building a whole, a TikTok posse for Brandon and I. Because all we want to do is just represent LeBron James in a good light. Because as you can see, it doesn't matter what you say about LeBron James. As soon as you say anything good about him, somebody's gonna come talk.
It's opinions, man. It's the opinions. Like people can't stand opinions. It's like, and it's funny because when you give an opinion that favors their argument, they're quick to go with it. But if it's an opinion that doesn't favor them, it just goes haywire. Like they're quick to say, players got MJ as the GOAT or whatnot, but as soon as you mention players that got LeBron as the GOAT, it's, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like the double standards it'd be too ridiculous.
No, it's that's exactly what it is. And in the article, he quoted Brandon. Brandon basically said, I don't think anyone will surpass Michael Jordan with what the myth about Jordan has become. So he was he was just saying how it's hard for people to understand it because they put this big myth behind Michael Jordan. And I basically told him, I call them the Michael Jordan police. They're literally the Michael Jordan police, bro.
Not to get into the subject, but it's like the same with Will. It's like, Will is a big myth around Will. And yeah, he's dominant, but it's a lot of the stuff is that a lot of us never got to see Will. He played like 2 years in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Most of his time was 60s. So it's like it's not that much footage. And a lot of people that did get to see him, they're either 60 years old or like, like way older, and they're like getting their recollection of the time is just it's not accurate. So it's like the only thing is that with Jordan, it's that the myth was able to be seen, and now people want to exaggerate the myth and they want to put their own standards to it.
But that's the thing right there, is that Jordan's myth was created, although we seen that it wasn't that. The things with Will and like Bo Jackson was we didn't see it. So you was able to create the myths because these were stories you were told. But we got a chance to really see Jordan. So the fact that they still created myths for something that we actually saw it makes it worse, because now when we go back and look at it, we can say, well, damn, that's not what he was doing. That's not what it was. And that's why they get mad at us, because they want us to literally talk about Jordan the way they want to talk about Michael Jordan. I mean, even in the article, the guy said it in the article. I mentioned it in the article here, right? I mentioned, let me see where I can find it. This is where I said, yo, if you say anything good about LeBron, you're gonna get a slew of guys that are gonna come and tell you don't know basketball. And then they try to bully you into believing the greatest era is Jordan's era and Jordan is the greatest player. Like, that's literally what they do, right? And then the guy that he interviewed that was a Michael Jordan fan said that the reason he did this was because of people like me to tell us that we don't know about basketball. Quote, this is what the guy wrote. This is what the guy got. His name is Robert Pfeiffer. He runs a Michael Jordan is the
this guy. Oh my God.
Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. This guy wrote, this is what this guy told the guy. He said, listen, he says, I was really annoyed that people were getting paid to espouse what, in my opinion, were very unintelligent ideas about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. So here it is. I say that there's a bunch of guys like this that come at us all day long, and here it is. This guy comes on and tells exactly what I said, that these dudes are infatuated with Michael Jordan, and we can't talk about basketball without them telling us some nonsense about Michael Jordan.
Look, I'm pretty sure we could clear this up right now. You believe LeBron is the GOAT, but that's your opinion, right? You don't throw that out there as a fact, right?
Well, no, but that's the thing. This is why I call myself the exposer. That's what I'm exposing, the fact that he is the GOAT, because I'm using facts.
No, you're using facts. You're using facts, but it's your opinion.
No. It's not my opinion. My opinion isn't that LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. The stats, the accolades, the achievements that he accomplished makes him the greatest player of all time.
No, I agree with you. Look, you don't gotta get into the fist fight with me.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. See, Crash, because we got into the conversation, because I know you said something to me about the John Stockton conversation, right? I understand that basketball fans have a personal attachment in this conversation to feel like their opinion, or what I call your subjective take, your preference, matters. It really doesn't matter. If I really wanted to boil down my opinion, Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest basketball player ever. That's my opinion. I'm basing that off of how I feel about basketball, about what I think, my opinion is. I don't see nobody who's greater than Wilt Chamberlain. This guy dominates everything of the sport. He's the greatest basketball player ever. But I can't just do that. then there is no GOAT. You understand what I'm saying? It's predicated on what you feel. So when I narrow it down to the stats, the accolades, the achievements, man, come on, man, look, it's easy. It's LeBron James, man. It's LeBron James.
Oh yeah, he gonna stand at the top. It's just personally to me, it's like if somebody says, "Well, Jordan is the GOAT," I'm you see, like you create the content, so of course you're gonna get into the all right. Why is he the GOAT? Like you're not just gonna spew this baseless statement and not have an explanation for it. Me personally, you'd say, "Yo, Jordan is the GOAT." I'd be like, "All right, whatever." That's your opinion. As long as you don't poo mine. You know, as long as when I say LeBron is the GOAT, you don't sit there and try to tell me, oh, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's something that then it puts me into the, okay, now I'm going to attack your arguments. And when it comes to Jordan fans, it's like their criteria is skewed. It's like they'll sit there and they'll say, well, you know, I value championships and I value dominance and I value blah, 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 blah. And then they'll sit there and have a lot of players out of their top 10. They'll have players with rings like Bill Russell, or they'll have players like with the dominance of Wilt, like out of their top, or they'll have them in certain positions where I'll be like, yo, bro, but if you put this above this, then shouldn't this person be ranked higher? Like, I don't get it.
I agree with you, Crash. That's the thing right there, right? We don't mind people that have Michael Jordan as the GOAT. You can have him as your GOAT. I always tell them that if that's your criteria, or however you want to do it, that's fine. But I always tell them, yours is way off compared to mine's. Like, they always get mad at me. I'm like, mine is on point. Mine is as objective as possible. You can't. Jordan fans cannot do that. And we're gonna do the top 50 greatest this Sunday, and you're gonna see them hating, and we're gonna ask them, yo, where's yours? Put it together. Show us. Bring us the numbers. Show it to us. Don't tell me about highlights. Don't tell me about this nonsense about 4 and 6, which is not even a real stat. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's not even put up on somebody's like resume. Like it doesn't even shows up.
And what makes it worse is that exactly what you just said. They supposedly respect dominance and things of that nature, but Wilt Chamberlain's not in their top 10. Majority of the people who have Jordan in there as their GOAT don't have Wilt Chamberlain in the top 10, and he's the most dominant player in NBA history. You see what I'm saying?
Personally, for me, I don't have him in my top 10, but that's only because it's hard for me to rank 60s. Like, it's just so difficult, and since I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I've seen 60s games, because I'm a firm believer in that. If you didn't see it, you probably shouldn't talk about it. So I don't rank the 60s like that because I didn't see it. I do have to go back and, do some like history lessons on it or whatnot, but it's difficult for me to rank it. So I just really don't do it. But either ways, it's like if you do rank it, you have to put a lot of context to it. And it's like most people, they'll just sit there and say, well, look, box score merchant shit. They'll look at the box scores and they'll be like, okay, well, this person did this, so I'm gonna just put them above everybody else. And it's like, bro, basketball is more than that. Basketball is more than you looking at numbers and you saying, well, this person is better than this person. Because shit, LeBron's per season stat, you would think he's not the greatest scorer of all time. But who's the greatest scorer of all time? Like
LeBron James.
I mean,
I mean, the thing about I kind of get the conversation about the 60s and the 50s and the 70s to a certain degree. I get it. But to me, my thing is that I don't really need to knock it. Like, you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, for me, I don't think it's necessary. Like, I don't think it hurts to give it the recognition.
I don't knock it. You definitely got to put the pioneers. You definitely got to put the pioneers. Like, if they pioneered it, then you got to sit there and you got to be like, hey, they didn't get these workouts. They didn't get all these stuff. So, like, give them that credibility. It's just, like, come on, like, let's be serious. If Stephen Curry or let's say a Kyrie hit one of these dudes with a crossover or a hezzy, their ankles is gonna explode. They wouldn't even fathom. They wouldn't even fathom that. Like, so it's like we also have to be honest behind it. Also, so it's like I get it.
But Crash, do you understand that back then you couldn't do that? Like they weren't allowed to, like. The original rules of basketball, you couldn't even dribble, right? That's the original. I'm talking about back in the 20s and the 30s, right?
Yeah, Kuzi wasn't even dribbling with his left hand. He was only dribbling with his
you couldn't. By the time Kuzi was around, you could dribble, but you had to keep your hand above the ball.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, and I ask anyone to go show me a video of you dribbling a basketball, keeping your hand above the ball, and doing behind the back passes or not behind the back passes, but
I
behind
will
the
give
back
you.
dribbles or
I will
crossovers.
give you the. We'll give you the one moment that I seen with Joe Johnson when he was dribbling the ball and in front of him and he crossed the person up dribbling like with his hand on top of the ball like
Yeah.
the skills is still there. Yeah, they're the hand on the side of the ball they'll get called for that, but the skills is still there. It's still
That's
there.
what Rick Barry talks about. Rick Barry says call the carry because in reality, doing this is carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Putting your hand on the side of the ball was considered carrying. Under the ball, we know that's the rule. They eventually they made that. It's like the gather step, right? They were not allowed to do the gather step 20, 30 years ago. The gather step was something they recently added in the last 15 years. They let players get away with it. You see what I'm saying? So these are little things that started happening in basketball because basketball was an ever-growing sport. People don't understand. In the 60s, it wasn't popular. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't a popular sport.
Yeah, it was dying even in the 70s. It was even dying. It wasn't until Magic came around that Magic and Bird that it really started flourishing and getting fun. And Jordan actually saved the 90s because if Jordan wasn't around, oh man, basketball would have been so horrible in the 90s.
Yo, shout out to everybody in the comments. I see y'all here, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button and share. But the GOAT conversation is serious, Crash. Obviously, you can see it's not going nowhere. And the thing in the article that the guy talked about as well was he brought up a psychologist who brought up some very good points. And he talked about how the conversation between Michael Jordan and LeBron is so tense and toxic because it's multi-generational. You know what I'm saying? You have one group of people who are from one generation and another group from another generation, and they're clashing, arguing about what they witnessed. But it's a personal stake that he was saying that people have a personal it's like it validates their life. They have a personal stake in the conversation. I'm looking for the quote right now. But it's a serious thing with Jordan fans for me, because that was one of my problems with Jordan fans. It's like, yo, you guys really take this personally. Like you guys make it seem like Michael Jordan is like he validates your everyday existence. It's funny how they talk about Michael Jordan.
They'll really go to bat for it, and to the point where it's like they'll insult person's characters and get out of line, which is like, bro, it's really not that serious. But in a way, I understand that, because it's like there's a little part of me that if you attack my nostalgia, my childhood, I might feel a type of way, But I'm a grown man. I can understand that. It's like, I can look at something objectively and say, all right, they might have a point here. But with most of these people, it's like as soon as you attack anything in the 90s, it's like it's over. It's over. You don't know basketball. You LeBron sexual or something, and it's like,
yeah. And that's what I was telling the guy in the article, that basically you get called LeBron sexuals. You get all these people come at you and they start talking about you personally. And they talk to a professor of psychology and neuroscience at the New York University. And this is what the guy quoted in the article. He said, the reason people get engaged is because it's largely about them, end quote. And then he continues to say, for people who are young when Michael Jordan dominated, it becomes an indelible imprint on who they are. So when you're not saying Michael Jordan's not the GOAT, it's like they take it personally. It was like the guy on the show last week who couldn't tell me why I was hating on Michael Jordan. Like, why are you calling me a Michael Jordan hater? I don't get why am I a hater on Michael Jordan. It doesn't make sense. And I believe this article did a great job, like I said, capturing the whole debate. The guy himself is a Jordan guy. He admits it, but he touches on so many different variables. He talks about social media and how they feed us social media stuff. Because anybody who's in any basketball group knows that you're going to get nothing but Michael Jordan and LeBron stuff fed to you, even though other stuff are being posted. It's crazy, bro. It's literally crazy, but I don't mind it because, again, like I tell people, I like this. I like LeBron James.
You like to be an educator. That's why, right?
Huh?
You like to be an educator, right? You should have been a teacher in your life.
Well, to be honest with you, Brandon and I started this show because I was already doing my own show. I was doing my own thing, just talking about stuff, because people on my social media always tell me that I should start doing my own show and talking. So I said, you know what, I'll start a little podcast. And I did an episode on the GOAT conversation, the same thing, predicated on how the GOAT conversation is big. We always talk about the greatest quarterbacks, the greatest, the greatest teams, the greatest basketball player, the greatest boxer, the greatest rapper of all time, the greatest movies of all time. We always have these GOAT conversations, and men get really into it. We really get charged up when we have these conversations. And Brandon saw the show and he was like, yo, we should do a show together. And we started GOAT James Kingdom. That was it. From there, here we are today doing GOAT James Kingdom every Sunday.
And LeBron is like the biggest, when it comes to the GOAT debate, he's the biggest one that once you mention his name, everybody has some type of issue with it. Somebody has some type of issue with it. You can sit there and say, Biggie's the greatest, or Pac is the greatest, or you could go to football and say Brady's the greatest, or whatever. You could go to baseball and start switching up. But as soon as you say LeBron, here comes the masses having an issue with it, which is I've never really truly like understood it. Like, I grew up a Jordan guy. I grew up like, it wasn't until I say maybe last year when I got into because you know the podcast on Player's Choice. I got into watching Player's Choice.
Okay.
And Player's Choice actually opened up my mind more to like basketball, to the nuances of basketball. And as I started listening to them, I started really like going around checking out more basketball content, which I ended up finding GJK. And I started seeing y'all started throwing out a whole bunch of info on LeBron James and little stuff that I didn't even know about, that I was like, I just personally liked him because of his game, on how he plays, like how he plays pure basketball. And the info y'all started throwing out there, that I'm like, damn, I didn't even know this. I didn't even know he played under these certain rules. I didn't know Michael Jordan folded against the Heat. I didn't know none of these. Like, so when I started seeing all this, I'm like, yo, like, I'm starting to get it. Like, I'm starting to understand basketball even more, and understand the history. So it wasn't until like this year where I've started like researching history, watching old games, and started seeing more things, that I started really understanding basketball.
Wow. Well, Dom, I appreciate it. I'm glad you was able to find us, because that was actually, that's the whole premise of what we do here, man, because it's not just about talking about myths and narratives. Like King John's asking to talk about the Wizards and Jordan. They don't want to talk about stuff like that. They, with LeBron, we have to talk about his failures. But when it comes to Jordan failures, it's not failures. It's levels to greatness. So it's like they judge LeBron completely unfairly. And he's hated because it's easy to hate on LeBron. What I've come to realize while doing this show is that and Player's Choice is actually a good group of guys to listen to, because they have so many guys on their panel. So you really do get a broad perspective of basketball talk. So, you'll get the crazy guy like Ticket, who's just all narrative.
Yeah.
Then you'll get guys like Low. You get guys like Low or Mars, you know what I'm saying, who are the younger crowd, who are more into the analytics, who are more into watching the game. Then you'll get guys like Fluent and Chilltown, who are a little bit older, who will school them about some things. So they
Fluent. I can't stand Fluent too much.
Fluent. I don't know if you've been paying attention to our TikTok. Him and I have been going back and forth since.
Yeah. I seen a few of the back and forth. You and him went go back and forth. And he's like, I'm not gonna shit on Fluent. Fluent is very knowledgeable when it comes to basketball. Like, he's very knowledgeable. It's just, he gets real biased when it comes to Michael Jordan. Like,
they all are. They're all brilliant men. Like, a lot of these dudes that I know outside of the GOAT conversation are brilliant men. But when it comes to Michael Jordan, it's a different thing. Even like somebody like Chris Broussard, who's a really smart guy who knows how to do his job. But when it comes to the Michael Jordan conversation, they throw all that aside.
He got some bad takes. He be shitting on Dirk. Saying Dirk wasn't that good. He doesn't rank Kobe that high. So it's like, Broussard says a lot of outrageous things. Like, he says a lot of outrageous things.
Listen, but this is my thing, right? I have one guy that I've been very cool with, and he admits that Jordan is his GOAT, not because of basketball things, all because of his impact. Like, he's not going to go into the stats. He doesn't care about none of that. But he likes to make fun of LeBron James. And like I was saying, what I learned is that through all of this, by watching all of these different podcasts, watching all these different basketball talks, is that ESPN has created this layer of hatred of players that you can just talk bad about any player. And LeBron James is number one. When LeBron James retired, they're probably going to put KD as that number one guy. But it became where now we talk about basketball players in a negative light. That's it. Like, we don't talk about their greatness. We talk about, well, how can they overcome their failures and all this other nonsense? And they gotta do everything the way the way you want it to be at that particular time. So, as an example, James Harden is supposed to be a failure in the playoffs, but every time I go look up his playoff numbers, he's balling. But no, he didn't step up this series. So one series absolves eight playoffs that he's played in, a whole nother 30 playoff series where he's balled out. And because of one series that you think he played bad in, now all of a sudden he's not a great player. It's like these are the
but the thing is that James Harden doesn't play bad series. He played bad. He just has multiple games that are just bad. Like that's all. You got some games, even this year. You had the games. You had the 2 games where he saved Philly. But then you have those other games where he just dropped 11 or 15. It's like that's all it is. The thing is that people will look at narratives, or they'll look at certain box scores, and they'll come up with their own idea of what actually happened. And the thing with ESPN, which is why ESPN is dying, is because of people can tune into podcasts like GJK or the Player's Choice, where you're gonna get good info. You're not gonna get dumb narratives like, well, like Stephen A. Well, LeBron can never be my GOAT because he's not 6-0. Like, bro, like what that. Yeah, it just oh my god, it hurts my brain every time. Like, if you want to say like MJ would be your GOAT, like that's fine, but don't put out there that he could never be the GOAT because of 6-0. It's like you trying to poison minds, and you're trying to throw out narratives that is just like it's not good basketball talk. Like, it's just not. Imagine me speaking like that, like me saying Charles Barkley was never a good basketball player because he got 0 rings. And it's funny because people are so quick to hold rings to a high value, but I guarantee you they'll have 90 players in their top 20 that have never won a ring. Never won a ring, and they'll have 90 players in their
Barry Sanders is the greatest running back of all time for people who swear winning matters. Who swears winning matters. Who swears.
This shit is ridiculous. Like, it's like even with Stockton.
But then listen, Crash, all of this started with ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, because like right now, we got Liddy asking us about Nick Wright. What does Nick Wright say that's bad besides showing you things about Michael Jordan that they don't want nobody to talk about? So you can have your Stephen A. Smith, right? You can have your Jalen Rose, you can have your Skip Bayless, you can have all your Jordan pundits all over the media. That's not a problem. But LeBron James having one guy, the only one guy that's on for LeBron is Nick Wright. That is a problem. He's completely biased. This is outrageous. These people don't understand that. And King John, what's it called? Skip Bayless doesn't want Nick Wright because Nick Wright exposes him because Jordan fans don't want to talk stats. They don't want to talk the actual numbers because to do that, Jordan will never be the GOAT. You would never find any criteria using strictly the basketball numbers and Michael Jordan will be the GOAT. I dare anyone. I dare you. I challenge you. Please expose me on this, Jordan fans. I would love you to come and show me a legit list of numbers showing why Michael Jordan is the GOAT over everybody.
But even if you don't want to involve numbers, even if you want to say, because you can make it difficult on yourself and say, give me a challenge. Let me not even involve numbers in this. Let's talk nasty narratives like how y'all want to do all the time with the 6-0 and all this dumb shit that y'all want to say. Jordan has never played winning basketball until Scottie Pippen came in. I honestly believe if you remove Scottie Pippen and you put any other player in the 90s to play with Jordan besides Hakeem or Patrick Ewing, I think he probably don't get more than 1 or 2 rings. Doesn't get more than 1 or 2. I don't think his style of play was conducive to winning rings. He needed Scottie Pippen to facilitate. He needed Scottie Pippen to guard. He needed Scottie Pippen to hustle. He needed Scottie Pippen.
You're hating, Crash. Why are you a hater?
Yeah, I know I am. I know I am. But you know what? I'm a hater. I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm a hater. I'm gonna tell the truth. People gonna
look. Here's what they don't do. Look what he put here. Look what the Jordan fan put here. He put Kendrick Perkins. I said journalist. Kendrick Perkins not a journalist. Shannon Sharp not a journalist. And this is another thing, right? If you ever notice, if you're a real football fan and you go watch football on ESPN, they always have the broadcaster, the pretty face. They have a football player, but they always bring up a journalist or somebody who's actually a senior writer within the actual thing. They bring up the coaches. There's always a coach there, right? And you'll even see a GM. They'll bring up guys who were former GMs and real GMs to talk about football. You get a real analysis breakdown of football from all perspectives. When you go on ESPN, you don't get that. You get the pretty face, you get the outlandish journalist, and then you get the basketball player. That's it. You don't get the coaches, you don't get GMs, you don't get none of that stuff. If you go to NBA TV will always give you a coach, a GM. They'll throw in players. They'll throw in the journalists. So you get a broad perspective of basketball. But most basketball fans don't watch NBA TV. They don't even go to NBA.com to go check out the stats and how they really exist. They don't even know about NBA.com stats.
I always find it funny when because like I told you before, like I'm 32, so I didn't get to catch a lot of Michael Jordan games. I probably, when I was young, I probably caught like maybe 2. It wasn't until I got older I seen like 10 Michael Jordan games or whatnot. But it'd be funny when they tell me stuff like, "Oh, you ain't never watch Michael Jordan." Like, bro, I have more access to games than you do. I got more access to games now than you do when you was back in the days. And when you were, even if you was living in Chicago, I could watch more games now, and I can understand the game better. Like, if you want to say, well, you wasn't around to understand the narratives that was thrown around, and that's fine. I get that. That does play a little part, but vastly small. It's a vastly small. Because if you want to keep it technical, do you think Michael Jordan could handle this social media era? Do you think he'll be able to handle people seeing him walk out of gambling casinos and all that while it's not the playoffs and all that? Like, come on, bro. Like, you're not, like, he wouldn't be able to handle it. You think he'll be able to handle the criticism of going, what was that, 4 for 20, or was that 3 for 15? I forgot what it was when he played. He had a horrible series. You think he would be able to handle that criticism? Like, come on, man. Like, people just be sitting there and they'll like to bring up 2011 or 07. Like everything has context. Like 2011, okay. Even though they played a great Dallas team, people really knocked the Dallas because LeBron came up short. But it's like, bro, that Dallas team was phenomenal. And then in 2007, you had Mike Brown, who was running all the Spurs plays. Like, how are you going to beat the Spurs if you're running all their plays? Like, it doesn't make no sense to me. And I feel like...
But that's all new information. You see what I'm saying? But we've had the last 10 years of us basically having to accept what they've been saying. So now anything you bring up...
But hey, Johnny, you knew. I'm pretty sure you knew when Mike Brown was the Cavs head coach, you knew that he came from the Spurs. Like, I knew that I even knew that information that he came from the Spurs. So, like, I didn't know that that's all he was doing was running all the Spurs plays. That's definitely like new info. But I definitely knew that there was like some disadvantages there. I
didn't know they were running the Spurs plays. I mean, I didn't know he came from their organization at that time either. I mean, I was in my mid-20s, early 20s. So yeah, I mean, about mid-20s. So
I was a LeBron fiend at that time. So I was watching all the games. So when they was mentioning that Mike Brown came from the Spurs, I remember that. I just didn't look too into it for me to know that, damn, he's really running all their plays. Like, really? Like, that wasn't very smart of you. I think if they would have played anybody other than the Spurs, it would have been, I don't know if they would have won, but they definitely would have not gotten swept.
Yeah. Anthony, the link is up. I just posted the link too. So just tap on the link if you want to come up. But I mean, again, all of this stuff to them, and what they don't get is that they started this. They start all of this because if they just leave us alone, we wouldn't even talk to them about Michael Jordan. We don't care. But they keep coming with stupid stuff like this, 2011 and 2014. But if I tell them 1988, 1989, what they gonna bring up? If I bring up 1988 to 1990, what they gonna bring up? Excuses. Scottie Pippen.
Why even
Pippen? They're gonna say, where's Scottie Pippen? Where was Scottie Pippen?
Like, I get 20. I kind of get 2014, but bruh, he's the best player. He was the best player on the team. He got him there. And he was playing the best in the finals. So it's like, no, like, cut it out. Wade was off. I feel like out of all the greatest players like to play, LeBron is probably the most unluckiest of all of them. In a shitty franchise with shitty GMs, good to like mid coaches or whatever, and then you get stars that constantly break down on you. You get D Wade, he breaks down on you after his third year. He just like breaks down on you. Kyrie breaks down on you. Kevin Love breaks down on you. Anthony Davis, sneeze on him, he breaks down. So it's like he's just constantly getting. He's very unlucky. Like shit for him to have won 4 titles with everything that was given to him. Shit, I feel like that's astonishing.
Listen, man. Listen. LeBron James came into the NBA at the height of the NBA. It's right after Michael Jordan retires. You know what I'm saying? The NBA is at its full bloom. There's stars everywhere. There's Shaq, there's Kobe, there's Garnett, there's Kidd. I mean, there was there was so many great players, so many great things going on, and he gets drafted to a horrible team. He instantly starts winning, so he doesn't get a chance to build a team like they want him to do with Jordan. Jordan was losing his first 3-4 years. So and not only was he was losing in a league with less teams. So that means they were getting top 10 picks every year, multiple times in some years. So at the end of the day,
was a steal, let's be honest.
You know, at the end of the day, look, this guy put Scottie Pippen breakdown. Scottie Pippen didn't break down. Scottie Pippen was eligible.
Scottie Pippen broke down in the last 2 games of the Utah finals, bro, in '98. Cut it out. He was actually leading Michael Jordan in MVP votes until he broke down. Stop capping.
Listen, at the end of the day, you know, like I tell these Jordan fans, man, listen. It's very simple. It's very simple. If you don't want people to say things that are negative about Michael Jordan, stop talking about the negatives. I guarantee you, when we do this week's show, they're going to ask us about negatives. They're going to ask us about how you do negatives. Why do you want to calculate negatives? I got a fantasy football league that I'm in, and I never want to give negative points for stuff. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you throw an interception, you fumble, there's negative points for that. But I'm not looking to go add negative points. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like who does that? Like, what are you doing? Like, we're looking to see who's the greatest players, not who's the players with the least amount of flaws. Like, I don't get that. And then especially when you don't think the person has the flaws. When we tell you, okay, this is his flaws, like 3-point shooting. No, Jordan wasn't. He can, if he was taking more than 2 3-pointers per game, he can shoot. What?
Logic don't apply. Logic don't apply to Jordan fans. It just doesn't apply. They'll sit there and tell you, LeBron averages a whole bunch of turnovers. Da da da. Like, do you even understand how basketball works? Like, that it gets me up to that point where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna just let you live in ignorance, because if you don't understand how basketball works, I'm not gonna sit there and waste my time explaining it to you. Like, it kind of makes no sense. He averages turnovers because he constantly has the ball in his hand and does the most. He pushes the ball around. He facilitates the ball. If you look at the difference between point guards and centers and turnovers, it's vastly different. But people don't seem to. It's just when it comes to LeBron and Michael Jordan, is like logic is just thrown out the window. Stats don't matter. Accolades are perceived higher than what they're supposed to be. Scoring titles are considered higher than any other awards. Like,
it's all Pokemon card stuff. It's like Mortal Kombat. You remember when you played Mortal Kombat? You used to go up the tower and shit like that. Like, that's how they do it. It's Michael Jordan versus this player, and whatever they need to beat that player, they use it, and then they move on to the next thing and forget what they used before. If that was what made Jordan better against that player and against this player don't work, no, they're going to use whatever it works to beat that player. And then they just keep moving up the list. And that's how they tell you Jordan's better than anybody, because they can figure out any way to make Jordan better than anybody without literally having one set criteria. They don't do it. So, like, this guy brought up a good point here. What up, Adrian? Adrian said Jordan would have been like Kawhi Leonard in today's game, not engaging in social media at all. I don't think so. Jordan liked being popular. Jordan liked being liked. He was very fond with players. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was cool. He was just too big. He was just a star. He couldn't go just anywhere. He would, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain players could go to nightclubs. Jordan couldn't go to nightclubs. Jordan show up to a nightclub, forget about it. So it's a wrap.
I think a lot of his bad takes, or his bad, like, because, he wasn't political, or he wasn't really, like, boisterous when it comes to certain things. And when he was boisterous, it would sometimes come out negative. But the fact that he was so good in basketball, it overshadowed all the negativity that he did. So it's like, in today's game, I don't think him being so good would overshadow any of that. Like it would still be a detriment to him, and not like Kawhi. I don't think he would have been like Kawhi, like at all. Like Kawhi, he actually speaks to the media.
Yeah. No, Kawhi is horrible because even if you wanted to put money behind Kawhi Leonard, he doesn't have the personality, he doesn't have the charisma, the machismo, like they would say. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I found funny? When they had him, when they were doing the run for the LA and they had him do the Terminator shit. It's like, bro, you having this dude as a Terminator, a cyborg. Meanwhile, he's breaking down every year. Every year, the dude is breaking down. Like, you got to be kidding me. And then he goes and says this year that he's going to play 82 games. Like
he's not going to be able to do it. But King Clutch brought up a good point here. He said MJ was marketed like a god in the 90s, and you telling me he wouldn't give a fuck about social media. Cut it out. Exactly. He that's why he was able to bully people. That's why he was able to do what he did, because he knew about the star power. That was just what it was. We can't hate Jordan for being the star that he was, but his fans should understand it more. That's my thing. As a fan, you should understand that this is why you are the way you are. The same way you buy his sneakers. His sneakers really ain't the best looking sneakers. They're just Jordans. Well, what's good, Anthony?
What's going on, bro?
Salute, hey, I'm gonna go on mute and let you cook.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, man. Thanks, Crash. Man, that's Crash, y'all. Hey, what's your Facebook name, Crash?
Yeah, you could catch me on either Uzumaki Crash or on Randy Reginald. I got 2 accounts. My Uzumaki Crash get bans on a lot. People just be. It's like what you said last week when you said, because I never understood that. I'm always wondering, yo, why I keep getting restricted? Like I never got that. But when you said that if you reply to people too many times, they'll put you up for harassment and they'll quiet you for a long time. So now that I understood that, I'm like, damn, I can't talk to people like that no more. I can't.
They do that, yo. All right, man. Be good, man. So I'm gonna start calling you Reginald, man.
Yeah, I mean that's not even my real name, but hey, if you do that, I'm cool with that, man. I'm cool with that.
You guys are crazy on the internet, bro. You do on the internet wilding out, man. But anyways, that's Crash, y'all.
Yeah, go ahead, y'all cook, man. Enjoy y'all day, man.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, brother. Enjoy your evening, man. What up, Anthony?
What's going on, man? I read that article. I thought it was good. I thought that it pretty much. I hope it does something to put you guys more on the map than what you are. Like we were saying earlier today, it'll put you on the other side of the map, so to speak, right? So I think when it comes to what the writer was talking about, the psychological part, man, that's the thing. That's why you need the space, man, because if you want to talk basketball, if you just want to, I can't believe some of the stuff that I see on social media in terms of Chicago Bulls pages or Michael Jordan pages, man, the stuff that I see, it's incessant. LeBron James lives in these people's heads. And the more I engage your page, the more I see stuff on my feed from other pages, Jordan pages. Man, the stuff is toxic. They spend so much time on LeBron on YouTube.
All day.
Oh my God. I see people make video after video after video on YouTube talking about how LeBron is not as good as Jordan. I mean, like, that's their content. That's what they do. And I'm like, man, I cannot believe that this man's greatness drives these people to this state of, of being mentally, that they got to do this stuff. So what I'm saying is like the ability just to talk basketball, right? Because you guys really don't just talk LeBron. You talk basketball. You guys talk the season. You talk about, what's about to unfold, the playoffs, whatever's happening in the immediate sense you guys talk about. But with that, you want to be able to, you appreciate this generation's great player. That's it. And you want to be able to do that freely without being shut down, man. And the moment you start to have that conversation, you get shut down. You see these pages, you see all this activity, man. I'm like, man, I don't know what this man has done. Because even on you guys' page, you see with Bronny having the cardiac arrest, you see people saying stuff like, oh, I don't like LeBron James, but I hope his son is okay. Like, if you got to preface your statement like that, like your well wishes for, that's a problem. I don't respect LeBron James, but I hope his son is okay. Like, yo, that's a problem. Like, that dude is in your head like that. It's crazy.
Bro, you said something that I laugh at this stuff because my whole life I've always been that way. As y'all can see me, I'm a very like I don't wear jewelry. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't wear cologne and like you don't see me with watches and things like I like these are things that like rings and like these things never like I always said if these things had to make me feel like to be somebody, then I had to reevaluate myself a little bit more. You understand what I'm trying to say? So whatever I like is because I like it. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't define me. I defined it. You see what I'm trying to say? But with Jordan, it's the opposite for them. Jordan, like the article stated, it validates their life. He validates their childhood because that was probably the best time of most of our lives. To be honest with you, if you were born after 75, but you were born a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah.
We went through 9/11. And like for someone like you went through Reagan. You went through right? Then you had 9/11, then you had, you know what I'm saying? Then you had the recession and the housing crisis. Then we had, the whole racial movement during the mid 2000s, and then we end up with the pandemic, and now we're in the middle of inflation.
Yeah.
So probably your best time in your life was the 90s because you can see everything I said, nothing happened in the 90s.
I'm glad you said it like that. I'm glad you preface everything, and this is where I wanted to go. I tried to like Michael Jordan. I really did. I'm talking about I'm born in 71, so I saw Michael Jordan in college, right? His entire college career. I saw him come into the NBA. I wanted to be a fan. I wanted to be one of those be like Mike people, right? The problem I had was the more I tried to, it was him, his personality, who he was, and his lack of being, for me, I'm looking at a GOAT level athlete, this high level athlete, to be able to be somebody that we rally around, that leads people, man, that's about something. This dude wasn't about nothing. And I was like, this dude would call his teammates supporting cast, really condescending, ways about his teammates. The way, and people talk this talk, but he was a terrible teammate, dude. Like, he doesn't get along with anybody. He punches dudes in the face. He doesn't talk to even his friend Charles Barkley for 10 years. No one cares about that. The stuff, even his enemies, guys like Isaiah Thomas.
Oakley said, I'm best friends with Jordan. Jordan won't pass me the ball if we were playing a pickup game.
Won't pass the ball. Right? Like, this dude, you was referencing the Jordan rules, but there's a book about his time with Washington. They hated him in Washington. Like, everybody hated him, right? No one likes him, no one on a personal level. And then when the Rodney King stuff went down, man, he had nothing to say about that. So for me, wanting to see the people I look up to be involved in these things, right? Whether you're Muhammad Ali or whoever it is, you want to see somebody involved in whatever's going on in real time. Bill Russell, whoever. Mike wasn't about that life, man. And so that turned me off. So, I'm not saying that I don't have some type of subjective bias because of that experience and trying to root for him and not being able to get with him on that.
Yeah.
But I do think that having that experience with him caused me to see Mike through a different lens more. And even though there may have been some subjectivity there, I think it helped me be objective in analyzing his game. Like, what is he doing? What is he bringing to the table? Let me look at this more closely. And you begin to, it's a lot of narrative, man. It's a lot of narrative. It
is. Shout out to A-Weezy Bang and the Bang Sports and Entertainment. Y'all go check out Bang Nation. What's good, brother? That's right. Listen, Bron's the GOAT. It's over. They don't understand it. They don't want to accept it. Even if we do take it to what Anthony's talking about, the actual man itself, the outside image of who you are, and as black men, what we go through every day it's always nice to have somebody like that can stand up for us and speak for us, especially if y'all want to have somebody validate you, right, as a human being. Exactly. Right? How is LeBron James a bad person to want to have to validate? So being a LeBron sexual, right? Because we supposedly worship LeBron, right? How is that a bad thing? You can worship Jordan, but we can't worship LeBron.
Yeah. And
with all the character flaws that Jordan has, forget the basketball game, because that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about the person, because I can never be Jordan. And I think that's another thing that we forget, that I think that a lot of the thing is that most of us who played ball, who was never really great at basketball, use Michael Jordan as a way to think we were great at basketball. So at some point, because we took a lot of shots, like we were willing to shoot the shot. Like, you understand what I'm trying to say? Like they don't understand that they learned watching basketball horribly, because before Jordan, you had to play basketball like Magic and Bird and Dr. J, where you wasn't a selfish player. You played team basketball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't get it, bro. They don't get it.
But and I'm gonna run in a second, but I'm just saying, the reason why I said all those things about Jordan's personalities, characters, because Jordan fans assassinate LeBron's character like he's narcissistic, or he's self-centered, or he's self-proclaimed, or whatever it is. He went on the ESPYs. I heard people saying he got his wife trying to carry on that GOAT narrative. That's his wife. Dude, what else is she going to say but that her husband's the GOAT, right? Like, the fact that, he's talking about retirement on the ESPYs, and the dude is 38 in his ending his 20th year. Yeah. 39 in his 21st year. What dude at that stage of his career is not talking about contemplating retirement? That's a normal, natural thing. So it's like you keep assassinating his character for being normal. Like everything he does is just wrong. But didn't
they ask him about it? It wasn't like he was just stating it. The guy asked him. Yeah, the question was posed as a retirement question. Yeah. The guy was asking him, "Is retirement on your mind with all that you've been through this year?" He answered the question. He wasn't looking for attention. LeBron doesn't have to look for attention.
He's changing the narrative. He's changing the narrative. He's trying to get your mind off of the fact that he got swept. I'm like, this dude is 38 in his 20th year. He left it all out on the floor. And we talking about how he's trying to change the narrative. I'm like, yo, what is going on? This dude can't just be.
But you know who started that, right? Because again, who did they go run to? They go run to Stephen A. Smith on First Take or Skip Bayless. These have been the top pundits in the basketball talk world for the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
So everything that you hear comes straight from those guys. He's not changing nothing. He got swept. What is him being swept? What does that matter? LeBron was supposed to win one game. Like he was like, what does that matter? What was it? Him winning one game means what? Like that's what they don't get. He balled out. His team was not good enough to beat Denver. Denver was a good team. Like don't say, oh, they didn't have no all-stars. LeBron team didn't have no all-stars neither. Anthony Davis is not an all-star. Anthony Davis hasn't been an all-star for 3-4 years. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, I'm not bugging, because that's my thing with Anthony Davis. Like, yo, we haven't seen a good Anthony Davis since 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, I mean, like I said, man, it's just these conversations and the article that you had, I thought was really germane and relevant to everything that you're doing. And that's why I emphasize these points. It's like when we talk about trying to identify with someone, I'm like, who wouldn't want to identify with LeBron as a man, just as a dude? I mean, if that's going to mean something to who you are, I would rather be like that dude than be like.
You know why? Because they could never be him, and being him ain't cool. Being that person ain't cool. Being the best basketball player or the smoothest looking basketball player to them, that which they could imagine themselves being, which they will never be, is actually being cool. But it's kind of like I always tell people, it's kind of like the preacher. You want to go to the preacher when the times is rough, but you don't want to hang out with the preacher at the barbecue, because you have to be on guard at all times. You understand what I'm trying to say? You have to be upright at all times. So trying to be LeBron James means you have to be an upright gentleman every day. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Who wants to be that? I don't know. I got flaws, just like you got flaws. But that's the thing. Now, when we start pointing at Jordan flaws, you're the hater. You see what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So it's like that's the thing with LeBron James. But it's easy to hate on LeBron James because, for one, he's great. You see what I'm trying to say? And for two, he is truly the only one that challenges Jordan's legacy, and it's getting worse for him because he's just piling on.
That's right.
He's piling on. He's piling on, and it's only going to get worse for Jordan fans because they don't have nothing else. There's nothing left to talk about. There's nothing to bring up with Jordan. They're hoping a Last Dance come out again, or something, maybe something about Washington Wizards.
Yeah. Because now the narrative is how great his Washington Wizards seasons were. That's the new thing. And it's like, wait a minute. I thought that didn't count. You know, I thought like they didn't count that. But now they're trying to change that narrative to show you how great a player he was at 39 and 40. It's like, man, let it go. This dude is amazing. He's going to go in his 21st year. He's going to put up the same type of numbers. He's going to go on a title run again. He's going to be great again. And get over it. It's over. Like, this is the guy. It's okay. I just don't get it. But anyway, I read the article, thought it was good. I just want to jump off for a few. Man,
I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Again, pertaining to what you said, I'm about to get off too anyways, because it's going to be an end of the evening. I want y'all boys to enjoy y'all Friday evening. Check out some other shows that are probably, other lives that are probably going on. But just to preface to what you were saying about the article and about GOAT James Kingdom, yes, that is what we are. We are a safe place. That's why we're called GOAT James Kingdom. It is an actual kingdom. It's a sanctuary for LeBron James, people who respect LeBron James as a basketball player. And anybody who respects LeBron James as a basketball player obviously respects the game of basketball. So from there, you can talk basketball in our group, obviously. Most of us are Jordan people. We think Jordan's one of the greatest to ever play the game of all time. Most of us have Jordan number 2. I don't have Jordan number 2, but hey, I don't argue with nobody who put Jordan at the top. But I definitely argue with those who don't have their criteria set up right. So, and there are definitely those that challenge my criteria or our criteria. Because as y'all can see, Brandon and I use stats. We don't use nothing else. Brandon's favorite players in reality is Vince Carter, Penny Hardaway, Isaiah Thomas. Like, those would be his top 5 guys. Like, they would be in his top 5 if he was trying to be biased. You see what I'm trying to say? So at the end of the day, GOAT James Kingdom is for that. And it's definitely not for his hatred, because you can find LeBron James hatred anywhere, but you're not going to find it in GJK. That is for a fact. So, you guys are more than welcome to join our group. And like I tell all the LeBron haters and all the Michael Jordan fans, you are safe in the comments, because you will never show your face here and try to expose the exposer. I go every Friday night ready for y'all. It is Friday Night Exposure with the exposer. That is Anthony Davis. I'm going to get up out of here. Shout out to everybody in the comments, everybody that's been representing GOAT James Kingdom. Y'all make sure to hit the like button, share, check out the membership, subscribe. Y'all have a great Friday night. Anthony, any last word, brother?
No, man, I'm just glad that you're doing what you're doing, man, because it's enjoyable, man. It's a breath of fresh air, and I just hope that you guys blow up. That's all I want. I just want to see it firsthand. See you guys blow up.
All right. Well, y'all check out the article again. It is Esquire magazine. It is in Australia, so we did reach the other side of the globe. So, like I tell y'all, you can say whatever you want about us. We're on the other side of the globe. You in Facebook comment threads. So. So, man, y'all have a beautiful night. This is GOAT James Kingdom. I'm A. Johnny the Exposer. Peace and blessings, man. I appreciate you so much, Anthony. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Crash, man. Y'all boys be good, bro.
You all right, bro?
Yeah, man.